Hi everyone, so I wanted to make this video to make an introduction of me promoting my own book that I've just written and for which I'm still searching for a literary agent. I've written it in the English language, though it's not my native language. I'm Dutch Iranian, so I was Iranian born and I've been living here in the Netherlands since I was 9. And the kind of book that I've written is a novel. And considering the theme, I think it's considered to be a mystical thriller. But of course, that is something that my literary agent and I must consider further when discussing the book at a certain point. So what is my book about and why did I write this? So for those who know me, I'm from Iranian descent and I've been living abroad since I was 4 years old. So this migrant background, diaspora, it has led me to, have a certain feel of longing to learn more about the country I was born in, Iran, and the place that I'm from, like the northern part of Iran, the province of Gilan, and the city of Manjil, to be precise. That's where both my parents originate from and where my ancestors came from. And it's very sad for me to notice that there's so little known about these specific parts of Iran and Iran in general, known to people here in the western part of the world, because the context of speaking about Iran is usually done within the political context. And of course, considering what is going on right now in international politics and the war on Iran, that is pretty much the only context in which Iran is being discussed, which is really a shame, because Iran is such a vast and rich country when it comes to its history, its culture, music, so on and so on. And for me, I have this deep longing to create a story into this world in which Iran is seen and perceived from a different perspective. A story is always the best form to, dive into a different world and to feel one with the surroundings, with the context, with the history, and to see a country and a culture through different eyes. So that's why I wrote a story that is set in Iran, both in ancient Iran as in current day Iran. And I also, implemented parts of the story here in the Netherlands, because that is the world I know in my day-to-day life. And I wrote it in the shape of a thriller. Now, why a thriller, you might ask? Well, I have a background in political science. I've always been very interested in international relations, in particularly in relation to Iran. I mean, all my theses and papers were always about Iran. And it's such an interesting country with so many different things going on when you consider Iran from a political perspective, and with all its different layers, political layers, its history, its political history, but also the challenges that it has in the region with the United States, with the European Union, and also the challenges it has from inside. And the existence of the Islamic Republic itself is a challenge on its own. And the different enemies that it has, the enemies that are perceived within the country. It's such a rich layer to want to explore and to explore from different angles. So that is the reason I also wanted to dive into a story through which I could also shed some light on all these different layers, but not in a scholarly manner, not in a way of telling things as they are, but maybe within the framework of a story that makes it exciting to dive into. So let's go to the story itself, huh? The main character, the protagonist, Tuba, her name is also something extraordinary, actually, because I came up with this name because for a while I was, typing emails as one does at work. And every time I wanted to finish the sentence or finish the email, I would type my name, which is Tina, but I would always automatically type Tuba, which was so strange for me. So I considered that a sign of the universe wanting me to write a story about a tuba. So that's how I came to her name. And, this is my debut novel, and what they say to starting authors is to write about what you know. So I wrote a story about what I know when it comes to the setting, when it comes to the character. So this main character is, of course, she is Iranian, but she's brought up in the Netherlands. She's 18 years old. She's studying at Leiden University, as I did. And she's a member of the student association there, as I was. And the story starts within this student sorority, you could say, where she's doing this chore as a pledge to scan all these old pictures from the archives. And she and her buddy, David, they scan a picture from the 50s. It's a black and white picture. And they both look at it, and he suddenly recognizes the picture because it's the same picture that his grandfather has framed on his desk. And they're both looking at the picture, and he says, oh, don't you recognize the other character on the picture? And she looks, and she doesn't, there was no bell ringing. And he says, oh, this is the Shah of Iran, Mohammad Reza Pahlavi. And she was shocked, I didn't know he ever visited our student association. So that is the starting point of the story, right? And the funny thing is, in real life, this actually happened, because I used to have this chore of being in the archives committee, and there was this one evening where all the old members of our students association would come, and they would, have dinner together, and the pledges would serve their dinner. And there was this old man, he told me, where are you from? You don't look like you're Dutch originally. And I told him, I am Persian. And he was like, did you know that the Shah of Iran visited our sorority that year in the 50s? And I was like, oh, really? What happened? And so that was the point of interest for me to dive into and to connect to my story, right? And from there, she experiences all these things that happen that all seem kind of by accident, but of course they're not. And she ends up having to return to Iran. And what she finds out there about her own lineage, about why she ever had to leave Iran in the first place, is extraordinary. What happens to her then is extraordinary. And I say extraordinary because it literally is, because, spoiler alert, she dies. She gets killed at a certain point. And while she's in this near-death experience, she gets acquainted to people and entities that teach her things that she needs to know in order to complete her mission that she had been given to generations ago, before she even existed. And so a different layer of the story tells the story of her ancestors and the alchemist that was, the starting point of why Tuba had to exist. And he had this vision, or this experience, this out-of-body experience, through which he knew that something was going to happen unless Tuba would exist at this point in time to perform something, to do something in order to prevent that event from happening. So it's a very much hero-based story, chosen one story. And it brings together a lot of elements that are important to me, like history and culture of Iran, because she inherits all these different parts of land when she goes back to Iran, because she goes back to Iran because of her grandfather's funeral. And she inherits land, and this is not just some kind of inheritance. She has to take care of this land. And that's for a specific reason, because she is to take care of the energy of that land. So it's also very esoteric in that sense. It's mystical, because the whole concept of energy, her cleansing her energy, healing her energy, is a major part of the story. And she doesn't do that in her physical body. She does that as she is in her near-death experience. So themes of energy, theme of near-death experience, the theme of out-of-body travel, the electromagnetic grid of the planet, and the resonance of energy are all these mystical themes that have a central role within this story. And it's all plotted around this thriller-like story of her having to get to this device on time, the device that magnifies the resonance of her energy and the energy of the planet and the consciousness of all humanity. She needs to get there on time before certain other parties do so. So that's the whole thriller element of it. And the funny part is, I wrote this story as I was coming out of a deep burnout. So writing about this healing journey that she went through on the other side, going through all these 7 stages of getting to know her chakras and getting to heal her chakras and connecting with the earth energy that corresponds to that chakra, was also the healing journey that I was going through as I was coming out of my burnout. So it has a very special meaning to me. It's something that I hope that people can read and can use within their own spiritual healing, spiritual journey. But also, it's delightful for someone to read who's interested in Iran, because it also gives you a bird's eye view of how Iran looks like. We never get the opportunity to dive into the underground city of Kish, or the red beaches of Hormuz, or the Hyrcanian jungle in the north. But these are all very special places in Iran that all contain a special vortex, an energy vortex. And they all have a role and a message within this story. So it was a delight for me to write this story. It was a delight to go through these 7 stages of healing with Tuba. And I'm really looking forward to spreading this message of unity, of connection, and hope, particularly in this time that we're dealing with so much conflict, so much struggle at so many different levels, that we need stories like these to remind us what it means to be human, what it means to, transcend this level of ego. And I hope that the Rumi Resonance will be one of those books that will help us to remind ourselves that we are more than what we see on the news and what is portrayed to us. And for the Iranian diaspora, I hope that this book is also like a confirmation of your existence, and that it also breaks the mold of how Iran is portrayed usually in stories and in media. So it's both for the Iranians, the Iranian diaspora, and also for everyone who's going through a healing journey, who's interested in Iran as a country, who is loving thrillers and will like to read a different kind of thriller. And I really hope that a literary agent seeing this right now goes like, I could sell this story. I am a storyteller. I'm not a literary genius. You won't find any sentences in my book that you'd say, like, I need to put that next to Dostoevsky. No, that's not going to happen. I have this beautiful story that I've written, but the way that it's written, it might not be like, but I'm very down to earth when it comes to that. I'm a storyteller, not so much someone whose writing is in itself beautiful. So if you're that kind of literary agent who's particularly looking for the story and you feel a resonance to the message of this book, please contact me. You can subscribe because I will be returning on this message on this YouTube channel, and I will be talking more about the whole process of writing and to go more in depth into the themes of this book, which I love to do. So follow me here, and you can request a manuscript if you go to my website, which is tinaihrami.com. I will put the link in the description. And like and share and engage with me, because I'm really eager to know what your thoughts are on the themes of this story, how you think this will fit into, the spectrum of books that we are reading right now, whether there is really a need for such a story as this. I think so. And what you as a reader would be interested to find in such a story. And whether these themes also resonate with you. Just let me know in the comments. Let's stay in touch. Bye.